often we have that deep thing within us. There's this hidden belief that we need to change, or there's this hidden aspect that until it gets brought up, we have no idea about. You can dive into just letting life show you what you need to. And that's going to bring up the challenges you need to, the beliefs that you need to. But I truly don't think you get the most out of everything unless you kind of go hunting for those shadows and for those fears and for those limits. Because if you're forced to get to the limit, you're kind of pushing there for the first time. It's really difficult. But if you're going there by choice instead of getting forced to, you've got more time to actually push that limit.
We'll make it out and fall in love tonight.
You're the first reoccurring guest on the Steph and Craig show.
Yes! I love it. I kept being like, just if you want me back. Just if you do. Here if you need. Here if you're interested at all.
We were so excited that you put that back out there because we were like, yes, absolutely. Let's do this.
I forgot to tell you or ask you to before we started, but did you click the little thing so that our screen is bigger so you're not looking at a miniature version of us?
No. So I can see like part of you guys. But when it did something else, it changed to bigger. So
yeah. So in the center of us should be a little square if you hover over it.
There we are. Yes. Figured it out.
Perfect.
Okay. Now I can see you both fully. Fantastic.
Right?
That'll be a little easier going through the...
Yeah. So much easier. Rather than talking to our shoulders the whole time.
And I was like trying to gauge what you were looking like. And I was like getting a great view of the logo.
You're such a trooper. You were going to do the whole episode. You're like, I can make this work. I can talk to shoulders. Or knees, barely, huh?
Right. Yeah, we're so excited that you're back, Annabel. We can't wait.
Yes.
Me too. It's okay. So I think today it was kind of, we were talking about a few general things and then going with the flow a little bit as well. Was there anything else that kind of came up that you were like, this is what I want to have a chat about, or we'll just see in the podcast?
Yeah, I think we just go with the conversation, but we definitely want to touch on, now my mind's going blank. It is the edge.
You're pushing against their edge, yes.
So when you come up to your edge and like, not even necessarily when you come up to your edge, but like the whole process of recognizing when you're kind of like at the edge of your capacity and what that sensation feels like, kind of what goes through your body, what that whole process looks like. And then how do you lean into that, right? How do you know when it's time to kind of, oh, I need to take a step back from the edge? Sometimes we push too hard, right? And we really need to break, or otherwise we're going to, right? The universe will give us that break.
Yeah.
And those moments when you kind of have to really lean out and push outside of that comfort zone.
Mm.
So I think that's a fun conversation. I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
This happened just yesterday, so I can't wait to share it on the podcast.
Perfect.
Amazing. I'm excited.
Let's jump into it.
Tell us about it. What did you experience yesterday? How did you implement this in your life yesterday?
So yesterday, at the moment, a little backstory about me at the moment. I have been managing 2 wellness centers. One of them got sold. I'm now managing one. And the new owner and I are kind of clashing a little bit. I have a very customer service base. She has a very profitability mindset. And I'm going, the heart isn't there anymore. I need to go. So that's okay. I'm sitting with the discomfort of turning up to something and trying my best with it and not enjoying it. But sitting with that discomfort already. And then with this new position, I found it's managing a wellness center in the middle of like the busiest business district in Sydney with all new people, which are amazing. And that's exciting. And then the communication, it's a full moon in Taurus as we're recording this today. So there has been so much hecticness in life. And I've got so much Taurus in my chart, it's really affecting me. So I've got the job aspect. And in addition to that, I've got 2 more aspects. So I've decided I'm buying a house, but I need to do it before I go away. And I've decided I'm going away. I'm going traveling for a month again before my 30th. And so
oh my gosh,
I'm changing jobs. I need to leave the job. I need to prepare everything before I go on holiday, before I leave forever. And I need to get the new contract for the new job. I need to get the new house all sorted And maybe, am I doing renovations for that? Have I got the contract for that? How do I go with the mortgage? And then going, I need to pack. I need to pack as well. I have got all this going on. And then I just yesterday had this moment where my body was feeling this tight sensation in my shoulders. Everything was feeling down and pulling. Oh, and I was also teaching a few yoga classes as well that day. So
Might
I'm
as
trying
well
to,
be, right?
yeah.
You weren't doing very much, Annabelle. I'm glad that you got a little bit of yoga in there because goodness gracious.
My God, I needed it. But then high school friends showed up that I hadn't spoken to in months. And I'm going, now I have that fear of judgment as well. So it was all this chaos together. And I just had this moment where I went, I feel like I can't take a deep breath. I feel like there's 1,000,004 things to do. And then I had this sudden breath where I went, there's actually nothing I need to do right now. I am waiting on an email from a lawyer. I'm waiting for an email from my future employer. There's nothing else. Like I've done most of my packing. I still need to use my toothbrush until I go. Like there's nothing else I can really do right now. So instead of looking at the whole picture, I really focused in on the now, and that allowed my everything to just like relax, and all the stress like flowed out of me, and I was so at peace. Because instead of thinking, if I don't get that email from that lawyer, then I can't give it to my solicitor, and then what happens with the mortgage, and thinking of all the what ifs and the anxieties, I just had the moment of, I've done all I can do right now. So what? And it was so peaceful. I loved it. And that was allowed me to kind of, I think, expand my edge from where it was. So sitting with I can hold all of the chaos that was going on. It felt a lot easier to hold and easier to even go, okay, now I can do all these other things as well. And I ended up booking a doctor's appointment and doing this and doing that. And instead of just sitting in that anxiety anymore, I just went, yeah, I've done everything I need to. What else can I actually add in as well? Which, it was such an amazing moment, but it was also so freeing of going, I live in the future so often, and I live in what I think could happen, or all the anxiety, or what's the next step, instead of just the now. Yeah.
It's a beautiful way to describe that as you were taking us on your journey, Annabelle. I'm just feeling like, how are you doing this all? And when you got to that point where you're realizing, oh, I don't have anything to do right now, and you like reanimated that feeling of that peace, I felt my own shoulders just go with you. That was such a neat moment to sink into, and that was giving me a lot of perspective on how that's all I'm doing right now is future casting, and missing so much of this present moment. That is such a really beautiful reminder, the way that you just took us through that. How long do you think, have you been writing that moment still, just allowing the peace and being in the now
Yeah.
a little easier?
I have still had those moments where I go, oh, I should have that contract, or I should have, an email if I'm meant to be meeting someone today. I don't know what time. And there is still those moments where I go, oh, I'll just send a follow-up text, or I'll send an email and be like, hey, is this coming through? I still haven't received it. And then I get to sit back again of going, here's my little alarm bells ringing of going, something should be happening right now. Something should have happened. And there is also that urgency with it. It's not something I can leave forever. I'm leaving in 4 days. I need to have it all sorted beforehand, and I know things take time. So sitting with the alarm bells, taking a little action, and then being able to sit back again has been something that for me has gone, yeah, that's a good mix. I'm still, I feel like I'm taking forward action, but I'm not trying to push it. I'm not trying to be the leader of it. Instead, there's an element to surrender in it all.
I love that. I have 2 questions. I don't want to forget because I want to know where you're going on vacation. And so we can start there, and then I'll save my second question.
So I'm going up to this little hippie community in Thailand. It's called Pai. I used to live there for a little while, and it is just a place where I need to go dance in a river and paint and be with friends and just take some time to actually get to know myself again and take some time to go, I need this. I'm turning 30 at the end of the month. I'm really excited for everything that's coming through, but I think it's also when I've realized I've hit my limit generally of going, here's my full limit. And I think I'm also able to get through everything that I am in the next few days because I know that I have that break coming. I also know that this is ending soon. I get to go hang out with friends and listen to jazz music, and I have no plans and nothing's going to get asked of me for a little while after that. And that's giving me that extra energy and extra, I guess, hope as well. So I'm really excited heading to Thailand. It'll be very, very beautiful.
So
That sounds
excited
amazing
for you. Yes.
Do you have room in your luggage? Because that sounds exactly like what we need right now, right?
Yeah.
We could totally use one of those trips.
That would be amazing. We're really excited for you.
We're going to live
like
vicariously through you.
Not just
Annabel.
your trip, but everything that you're branching out onto, the awareness that you're giving yourself and how much love you're giving to yourself doing this, and just seeing this is such a transformative moment of your life. And you're like, I want to be present for it. I'm going to move forward in this. I know what my body needs. I need to go dance in a river. So I'm going to go do that. Like, oh, come on. That's amazing. That is beautiful. We're celebrating you so big. So big.
Thank you so much. I will save a hut next to me and you guys come over. We can dance in the river together.
One day we're going to have to do that. I think that would be incredible.
That'd be way fun.
That would be incredible. Oh my goodness. Yes.
So I have my second question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Because we're going back to this space where this thing just happened yesterday and you have awareness, and then suddenly the peace comes. And I like that you brought up surrender. And my question is, like, if we were looking at it from the perspective of what your edge is right now, or sometimes even just kind of like pushing out into the uncomfortable spaces at the edge of our growth, because I can relate a lot to suddenly having awareness where, like, things that I used to have to process for weeks or months, and then I'd suddenly have all the pieces put together, and then I can alter that behavior or implement, a new way of looking at things or a new perception or whatever. That process is getting shorter and shorter and shorter to where I can see, oh, that's where it's not even a mistake, right? It's just like a shift in perspective and understanding. And then the remembrance of, like, oh yeah, less is more. Like, if I actually slow down, that's how I get through these time periods in life, not when I speed up. And that's a lot of what I have been, like, being just forced to look at without any other kind. I've gotten sick. We've just had so many different things in the last few months, and the universe is just like, slow, way, 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 way down. You're going too fast. And it's so hard. So that's a big spot for me. And it's very similar where I feel like I have to surrender in this moment in life that feels like I have to keep going to survive. And so I'm just curious if that feels, having the awareness and kind of embracing it in the moment, does that feel like the edge of your growth right now, Annabel? Is that something that feels like you're putting pieces together, or is that just a Tuesday for you?
Well, I love that you said it as you need to slow down, and that's how things actually, you get through it. I think there is this aspect where that is the complete truth of, sorry. I think that is an aspect of the complete truth of going, if you try to speed things up, not only are you not present for it and not actually able to enjoy it, but it feels monumental and it feels overwhelming, and then you get nothing done. And whilst I'm not at the stage where I can see my behaviors in real time yet, but I do see that gap shortening as well, like you said. And I did have, like, by no means was this, an immediate transformation. I had a day of frustration and anger, and I was frustrated at my boss because she couldn't give me a pay slip. And then when she did, it was wrong. And then I had a fight with my mum about something stupid, but it was all about like, there was so much energy boiling up within me, and it was so much like there was tension. I had the desire for everything to go my way, and when it wasn't, I was like, how dare it not be going the way I want to? I'm so upset by this. This should be going quicker. And I had all the stories of this should. It should be quicker. It should be easier. This should be working out. People should be giving me the pay slips I need. People should just be doing things on my timeline. And then I was like, that's a bit silly. That's a bit, I can't have that level of expectation and actually get through life. When have I ever been able to decide a timeline for something? When have I ever had things entirely on my terms? Whilst I am a partial creator of my life, I know there's something bigger that's got like a bigger, better plan for it. And as soon as I stepped back and went, oh yeah, I am really angry. Anger's desire. All the wonderful things that we're taught in the Inner Workbook by Matt and Ash, I went, oh, you know what? It's fine. It'll work out somehow. Or if it doesn't, it's not meant to be. And letting that attachment go, I think, was also a huge bit of going, okay, if I don't get the mortgage before I go, then is that going to be okay? Or am I actually just really worried about what will people think because I haven't been able to get that mortgage, and now I haven't been able to get my dream house, and how does that actually affect what I'm thinking about, instead of going, it's just an email that's a few hours late. It's all the stories wrapped up within it, and letting go of those allowed me to, I think, expand that a little further, that comfort zone.
I love that you talk almost like the humanist aspect of it as well, right? Where this awareness doesn't suddenly just magically, oh, it's good. I'm okay. Everything's fixed. I totally understand. And I'm back at peace, right? It's still the process of being angry and frustrated. And, oftentimes, and I know Steph and I are both experiencing this right now because we talk about it a lot, but it's like having awareness still doesn't fix it. Like we have all these epiphanies all the time of stuff that we're going through. And it's like, oh my gosh, I see the pieces now. Still fucking dealing with shit. It's not fixing it, right? It's so frustrating because it's like you're having these aha moments and awarenesses and coming back to like this surrender place, this moment of focus where you're able to just let it all go for a second and remember, oh, it's okay. Like my remembrance is always that I'm being carried, that I'm just being held in this experience by the universe and that unconditional love. And all the struggle and everything that I'm going through seems like such a hardship, and oh my gosh, and woe is me, and all of these things. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm actually just this unconditionally loved thing that's being supported and held all along the way, right?
Yeah.
So it's such the duality of it. That's a lot of what I think I'm experiencing right now outside of that comfort zone area, is just really being in the duality of like, I can see it, but it's still happening. I have awareness, but I can't change it. I'm letting go of some of these things because otherwise we just go crazy, right?
100%. I think that puzzle piece analogy is always so helpful. And it's like, I saw the puzzle piece, still doing it. Why am I still doing it? And for me, I always got so frustrated with myself. And honestly, I still do sometimes, of going, I know better, but I can't do better. Why can't I do that at the moment? And one of my friends who is an amazing breathwork coach, she said to me, there's some part of you that it's still serving. Like there's either the little inner child that doesn't feel safe enough. And then after she realized, I had that realization with her, I was like, oh, then it's okay. I don't have that guilt anymore of having to know better and still making the same mistakes. Because I was like, I don't feel safe enough to change yet, even if I know I need to.
Okay.
Annabelle, I
Hold on.
love when you come on the podcast because we got to slow down for a minute. Go ahead. You just said something really profound.
Yes. I've had like that. I thought I was on such this breakthrough when I realized that these behaviors that I'm aware of, that I'm seeing, that I can't stop, like seeing, how is this serving me? How is self-sabotage serving me? How is this serving me? But mine was like, okay, I can see what it is. I'm like tunnel, like missile focus, just going right for it. We're going to go right for that thing, instead of being like, oh, that's okay. Giving yourself a minute to like, oh, I don't feel safe enough yet. That's okay. I can feel safe. I'm like, we need to fix this now. I see you. Didn't even occur to me to be like, wait a minute. That's okay. You don't feel safe yet. That's okay. You can, I don't know where to put that in my body. Like, where does that go?
It's okay, babe. You're safe.
Right? The heart? Okay, we'll try. That was, oh my gosh. Okay, can you walk us through that just a little bit again?
Yeah. Okay, let's do it together. So what was something that you've recently what was something that you recently realized in your behavior and you were like, I see my pattern. I need to change XYZ in my life.
Chances are you've heard us talk about merino wool because we love it, and you're going to hear us talk about it again. We decided it was really important to us to start bringing in and wearing natural fibers that were good for our health. Woolly clothing offers 100% merino wool, natural fabric, which is a healthier choice compared to the other synthetics that are often made with plastics. I've been wearing their underwear, their athletic tees, their shirts, and I stole Craig's pants because those are my favorite things to sleep in. Don't worry, he went and got himself his own pair. They're durable, they have tons of versatile styles, and it also really helps when you're trying to wick away all that moisture that they're also odor resistant. They're easy to take care of and also eco-friendly. So head over to stephandcraig.co right now, click on the Woolly link and enter the promo code Steph and Craig and get 15% off of your order. If you're ready for natural fibers that feel good on your skin, help regulate your temperature, keep you dry, don't stink, and on top of all of that, look really good. Go pick yourself up some clothes from Woolly now. How long have you been using those same non-stick pans that are all scratched up and scraped, not cooking well, and putting off those flecks of that non-scratch surface into your food? It's terrible for you. Do you still have those? We started getting serious about not only the food that we were putting in our bodies, but what we were cooking that food on. So we switched to American-made stainless steel cookware by Heritage Still. Heritage Still is a family-owned business located right here in Tennessee. They have been building great stainless steel clad cookware for over 40 years. They're versatile for all cooktops. They're oven safe, easy to clean, and they have a lifetime warranty. We switched out all our pans, and I'm so glad we did. I love cooking with our Heritage Still pans, and I love the fact that when I'm cooking for my kids, my family, I have the peace of mind to know that it's safe for them to eat the food that I'm making. Head over to stephandcraig.co and click on the Heritage Still link and make sure you enter promo code Steph and Craig to save 10% on your order. Start cooking healthier for you and your family today. The thing that's coming up really big right now, I have a lot of fear right now. A lot of this is coming in, and fear is really holding the reins of it. And a lot of it comes to, I get the momentum. I get the here I go. I'm going to do it. I'm ready. And I can feel it. I can feel that I'm ready. I can feel what needs to be done. I know what needs to be done. And I mention it like, I'm going to do this thing. And as soon as I do, whoom, the walls come tumbling down. As soon as I speak it, everything stops. And it's not just in that direction. It's like everything crumbles. I don't have energy to do anything. It's like the walls come down all around. Mm-hmm. And I see that pattern happen every time. And I know it's trying to keep me safe, but I don't know. Like, again, I don't want to sit with that. I want to bust through that. It's okay. Okay. So that's one for me.
I love the honesty. Thank you. It is so difficult when you're like, you can see the power of that pattern and how much it's affected your life, right? It's a really heavy pattern to be aware of and not feel like you have the power to change and repeat over again. Like, that's, first of all, really, really hard to see. But it's okay. It's okay that you have it. And it's not going to be here forever. Your awareness and frustration at it is like the edge of when you're trying to pick something off. It's just before it gets picked off, you have that, but it's still there. And that's okay. It might happen again. Might happen another 20 times. And either way, if it's 1,000,004 times more, that's okay. But coming back to, I always go back to belief system work, right? That's my foundation of everything. You said there was a lot of fear around it. And saying, once I say it to someone else, so before, when it's just you, does it feel really safe and can you take action on it?
Yeah. When it's just me, I feel that momentum, that drive. It's almost like I can't contain it. It needs to come out. It's so big and like exciting, and it's almost like it's a life of its own. Yeah.
That's a beautiful feeling. And so even when you're sharing it with someone that you love and trust, like Craig, it still has that. It's a paralyzing feeling. Is that right?
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Yes, paralyzing. That felt like a really good word for that.
Feels like inescapable after the wonderful, like the secret's out. It's almost like, it's like you've been caught and you're like, I have energy, I have momentum. No, it needs to be stopped. Someone can see my energy and momentum.
Oh my goodness. Yes, it's very accurate.
That's okay, right? Like you can see it and you can laugh at it. And now how are you open to kind of moving through it together on this podcast?
Absolutely. I mean that. I do mean that. I'm scared. That was hard to get out. My instinct, yes,
Oh my
but my mouth
goodness.
didn't want to say it.
Those words were like diving back into your throat as you were speaking. Absolutely.
I'm not holding my blue rock today. That's why.
I love that. Okay, so when it's just you, what's your kind of belief system about it? And also anyone who's listening, looking at if you do have before the moment of change in any kind of, what were we calling it?
Like your edge?
Yeah, whenever you're realizing your pattern, whenever you found that new puzzle piece and you're kind of looking at it and you're going, before I got that puzzle piece, what's the moment before and what's the moment after? So when it's just you with this energy, it feels uplifting, it feels amazing, but what stories are you kind of telling yourself? You're like, I can do it, or what else?
I don't know what stories I'm telling myself in that moment. When you were saying like that moment before, the unstoppable was the word that was coming to mind. It just felt like really unstoppable. I can feel my mouth going dry as I'm trying to come up with the words from before. It's important, transformative, exciting, like I think I described that. So, and then after, I kind of like feel like a joke. Like, who do you think you are? Who did you think, of course you can. And now it's like, I'm just letting everybody down. It's like, I'm letting Craig down. I'm letting it just, here was a shot. And if I could have shown up then, but I fell again. And so now I've let everybody down. Everything's going to come crumbling down because I couldn't. And part of me, another like layer that's kind of ripping out of my belly and pulling over here is I'm somehow still letting people down if I don't fall. Like if I go through with it, it almost is going to hurt people more because oh my gosh, it feels like if I'm the person that needs to fall, if I'm the person that needs saving, then people around me or in my space or like family, however, they still have a job, they still have importance, and it's like I'm still lovable. But if I push out of that, then yeah, I feel like I'm going to be abandoned. I feel like I'm going to hurt everyone more if I succeed, if I do big things and don't need saving. And I don't know what that is. And I did not know how to look at that. And I almost feel like throwing up. Now I just said all that out loud. I'm like, whoa, okay.
When you look at it like that, you go, why would you want to change that pattern if there's so much energy there? Like, there's so much there that I just want to give you a hug of going, that's huge. Like, of course you can see this puzzle piece and you don't want to change it because for so many years you've had that energy and that energy is built up. And even though I'm going to say it quite bluntly, completely wrong energy, completely incorrect.
Right?
Oh,
But
goodness.
it's so valid that you've had it there for so long. Like, we get so many incorrect stories, but it doesn't mean they weren't reasonable for us to take on for so many years. So, given everything you've gone through, of course you've got that story. It's completely wrong, but of course you've got it. So, how could you feel safe to move through that of going, I'm going to tell Craig about this really amazing thing that I want to do. And then as soon as you do, you go, and I'm going to be abandoned by it. Woohoo! Like, you can't, you can't move through that.
Wow.
Like, that is something where you go, yeah, I see the puzzle piece. It's going to stay there for a minute. What I found really interesting was before you said it, you felt really important. And then after you said it, you wanted the other person to feel important. Do you think it's safe to be important?
I know the answer. I'm supposed to say yes. I'm supposed to feel, but no, I do not. That feels very dangerous.
It's courageous to admit that. Thank you. And it's okay. I think you're incredibly important, but Craig can yell it to you every single day. He can say it the nicest possible way, but it's a belief that has been instilled in you for however many years, and I think that's even just one facet of the puzzle piece. So doing that belief work change, we spoke about it in our last episode of how to actually dive into it if anyone is listening and wants to go into it, but going,
We're going to link it in the show notes. So it'll be down in the show notes.
Because I'm the first repeating guest. Woohoo!
Yes.
So going, here's how to change it, but it's safe to be important. And then a follow-up question and a follow-up belief from that is, do important people get abandoned?
I think what it feels like is the important people in my life. And this is like, I'm not just talking like in the space. I'm not looking over here like, this is how you make me feel. Like, obviously this started way before Craig, way before.
Maybe I know.
So I'm looking at like, if I take any energy away from important people, then it's not just abandonment, it's hell to pay. And it's so funny. It's so funny how deep this goes, right? It doesn't even seem like they would connect, but that's what it's from. Somehow, like these things that I would have never have connected these dots goes all the way back to like that. It's like if I take anything away from the important people, there's hell to pay.
It's not safe, right?
It is not safe. it is not safe. Abandonment and punishment is just not safe.
Now do you feel a little more okay with repeating this pattern?
I definitely have that. You spoke of suddenly you had all this compassion for yourself and you're like, oh, that's okay. If I don't feel safe, that's okay. And I couldn't understand that. Now I'm like, oh, honey, it's okay. No wonder. Like I've got that compassion part now. I'm like, no wonder you couldn't step through that. No wonder this has continued to be repeating. I didn't even know to see it to try and tell it could be anything different. So myself is just, yeah. So the compassion's there. I can see how that would be repetitive.
I love how instead of when we try and like white knuckle and like hold on and like punch through to get to this new version of ourselves, it's like what we came up, like we're speaking about before, of going, when I'm trying to do everything, slowing it down. Craig said it better, but it was the sentiment of going, if I'm trying to just squeeze through everything and push through my limits, it's one of the hardest things of going, I'm just going to slow it down. I'm going to have a little more self-love. I'm going to have a little more understanding, because our minds they're incredible, but they're also the most confusing things I know. Because you're going, why is this childhood thing linking to my choice of coffee or the most random assortment of things?
The part that I find really, really fascinating, because slowing down when things are really chaotic and stressful is, it literally feels like the opposite of what you should be doing. And lately what it feels like is I'm in such a fight or flight response on a consistent basis, where it's not even like a frozen state. I'm just very much going as fast as I can. So I'm very active. It just feels like, when I try to slow down, it doesn't feel safe when I try to slow down. And so that tells me that I'm super activated. And the whole idea of, I can look back over the course of my life and see every time when I have been in that really crazy, chaotic energy where it feels incredibly dangerous to slow down. It makes sense, right? I can see why those moments felt so scary, so dangerous, so hard, and why I was going so fast in those moments. Mm-hmm. And now it's like I can feel that same energy speeding up, almost like the real crazy, chaotic energy wanting to start spinning, because I feel so afraid, so activated. Really, it's afraid. I use activated to not say afraid. I really feel afraid, right? I'm super afraid right now, just riddled with fear every single day. And so I'm going as fast as I possibly can to outrun the fear, because slowing down feels like now the fear catches me, right? And it's going to get me. But the reality is, I know from experience, if I don't slow down, not only does the fear it just is chaos, right? And every time I do slow down, I get through it. And so it's just the remembrance of, okay, yeah, the fear is going to catch up to me and I'm going to have to feel my way through it and I'm going to have to process it. But it's always the fear. It's never really the reality of what it is too, right? As soon as it catches up to you, it's never quite as bad as you thought it was going to be. Like in your mind, you're like, death, I'm dying, I'm dead, this is over. And then, 30 minutes later, you're finally breathing again or something. You're like, okay, I made it through that emotional turmoil that I had been avoiding for so long. Yeah. And then, but it's so hard. We all know how hard it is, right? I think it's what the world is in right now. I feel like this massive amount of fear and anxiety and stress, and people are so afraid to slow down. And it makes total sense. But I think it's really the only way through it.
Yeah. I think fear is one of the biggest ways of control. And it's because no one wants to be friends with fear. But fear is our friend. And for me, I get stuck in anger a lot. Anger is something where I get really caught up. It's like this whirlwind for me. But fear, a while ago, I was really socially anxious. I was really was fearful of everything. I would do what everyone else said to do. And fear was at that point in my life really, really controlling me until I became friends with it. And I went, oh, what are you trying to tell me, fear? Fear's come to visit. And that's how I would phrase it to myself. I'm like, oh, she's here for a tea. And I would allow it to kind of almost be a teacher to me. And whilst it did take a good few years to finally become actually friends with fear, and don't get me wrong, sometimes I still definitely, I'll close off as soon as I think of it when it's something that, and in an area of fear that I don't know about, or in an area that is completely unknown, instead of being like, oh, work fear, how's that going to go? Oh, I've already experienced that. I've already learnt those lessons from it. I kind of know what to expect, even though it's still scary. When it's, there's, now I see a spider and I'm like, oh, that's okay. I can deal with that because I've already dealt with it, even though I still have that like bodily reaction from it. I find it a lot more, I know what to expect with it. I know what to expect in my body with it once I learn to like calm down with the fear. And the other day there was this giant, like half the size of my head spider on a wall. And it was not a huntsman spider. It was scaly, and it was not cute. And everyone else, and it was at work. And so I didn't have anyone that I could kind of go, I need someone to help me. At work, everyone just went, oh, I've got the bug spray. And I went, no, you can't kill it. You definitely can't kill it. And so I'm standing there and I'm looking at this spider, and I genuinely have this conversation with the spider because I'm noticing all my fear is coming up. My heart is beating out of my chest. I'm going, I want to run away, but I can't let this spider die because I don't know why, but it's important that it doesn't. So I'm standing there and I'm going, spider, I need you to cooperate so we can both live through this.
Yes. Yes.
That's freaking Steph on the daily.
Right? I relate so much.
And I'm going, universe, how do we do this? How do we both get out alive? And in it, there was that moment of thought where I went, oh, I need to get a huge box and put it under and then use the broom to push it into the box. And then I'm picking up the box and I'm looking at this spider, and I've got maybe like 100 meters to walk till I can get outside. I'm looking at the spider going, don't you move. I'm moving. Only one of us gets to move right now. And then eventually I get outside, the spider's free. And I like literally did my little shake off of going, yeah, everything was happening in my body. But for some reason, I was able to keep my mind calm because I know what's happening in my body with fear. With anger, I'm still getting used to, and that's why I get so tripped up with it. But fear, I feel cold. There's numbness in my fingers. There is something happening in my chest where it's feeling like decompressing. I can't take a full breath, and I'm going, oh, I know I can get through these feelings. That's okay. And as soon as I got through the somatic reactions of going, I can genuinely listen to my body and go, I've been through this. This is fine. Yeah, I feel like I'm dying. I've done that before. Get over it, Annabel. And I can move through it then with a calm mind of still going, yes, everything's happening in my body. My mind's okay. I'm not going to let this control me. And that's what I'm trying to do with each emotion. With desire, I'm not there yet. Every time I see a sweet little treat, I'm like, deserved. Grab it now. I want it.
I love this practice, Annabel. I love the way that you're phrasing it and talking about it. It makes so much sense when you talked about befriending fear. I mean, it really reminds me, because we do a lot of work with like parts work and IFS and things like that, and talking to the different parts of our inner child and all these kind of things that come up in this processing, right? But I love the idea of doing it in conjunction with these emotions, and especially the somatic part. Like when you talked about feeling cold, like when having that association with fear, when that happens, that I'm like, what do I feel? Like I have awareness of physical sensations in my body at times, and I can connect, like I can check in, but like having just okay, this is what happens when fear happens. This is what happens when anger happens. Seeing the patterns and the recognition of it. I love that idea. I'm super excited to practice that because it makes so much sense of just being able to check in with it. And then, like you're saying, like walk yourself through the process of like, okay, I've been here before. I know what to expect. I've identified what I'm experiencing. I can still be in the emotion and process and all of these kind of things. Having your, like, it's a beautiful practice. And it reminds me a lot of like when I was a police officer, we would have moments where you'd be super activated, right? There's obviously really intense things happening and things are going really, really fast. And you still have to be able to cognitively like think and process and be aware of the situation. And, you know, you have to have your faculties about you. And like, there's what's that saying, like, keep your head when those around you are losing theirs.
Yeah.
Right. But it's kind of a similar vibe where you have to really be able to stop and slow down while it's happening and have awareness of it. And I think it's so awesome. Thank you for sharing it. I'm excited, like I said, to
Yes.
practice.
Very much. I was thinking, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, please,
go ahead. That you're bringing awareness to the body and the sensations and like bringing up what this is. And it's just like an extension on what you were saying, Craig. However, your meditations that you have out there, and we'll also have to put a link because if you haven't already bought those, you totally should. They're amazing. It really, when I started using those, the practice, it was so much more than I expected. And I'm trying to get my words out right. So the first one that I went right for was the thyroid, the throat. I have a lot going on with that area. And
we remember earlier where absolutely
right?
crawled out and then back in.
Like, huh. So this is a big area. And I was going through your meditation with that. And the word that came up was very intense, but as you're directing it through and guiding this so beautifully, I'm focused here. I'm focused in my throat. I'm focused in my chest, my head, like all right here. And you take us through the body so incredibly well that where it's actually stored in my body just blew me away. At first, I'm like, what's going on? I was like trying to brush it off because I had immense, terrible pain start in my right quad, in my right upper thigh. And I was just like, why are you here? We're not working on you. We're working on the throat. And I would say that word and it would just throb and ache, a stabbing pain. I'm like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, okay, for some reason it's here. And I was able to connect it with, when I would punish myself for speaking when I was little, and I would finally get to the point where I couldn't contain it and I would speak out or I would lash out and have this moment of, this kid that couldn't hold it anymore. And then I'd be in trouble, and it continued on. But I started as a kid where I would be alone and like hit myself right there. And I would just punch and punch and punch, trying to like punish myself. And why did you do that? And I needed an outlet. And it didn't really connect until your meditations and taking it through that and getting in the body of, well, I put a lot right there. So I was able to make that connection. And now when I feel that sensation in my leg, when I feel it start to hurt, like it connects that for me. I understand that I'm feeling choked. I'm feeling repressed. I'm feeling like I can't speak. I'm feeling like my words are going to get me in trouble. And so that clicks so much on when I have this feeling, I know what this is, and I know I'm going to get through it. I know that I'm going to be able to move through it. And
is there an emotion that you could assign to that sensation as well?
The first one that I have is just rage. It's just like I'm in a rage at that point, but it's a rage that doesn't belong to me, and it's not mine to withhold, but I cannot be witnessed in my rage. I can't be witnessed in my feelings. I'm not validated in my feelings, and I can't give it to at that point, we'll say violator, we'll say the person that's, I can't put it back where it's gone. The only thing that I can do is absorb it. And it hurts so much that I needed an outlet. And that was one of the outlets. I found several others. That wasn't my one and only, outlet. But it's stemming and it's coming up because it was such a unique thing to have that such a connection. Who's going to look in your thigh when you're working on your, who's going to be like, I better start over here, and when you have a pain in your leg and you're like, I wonder if I'm feeling like I'm being violated or I'm not able to speak or I'm not safe. You're not going to make those connections unless you have that practice of being able to get into your body and understand what these things are telling you and understanding you can get through it. It's just, I never stumbled on it. I had to literally be walked through very slowly every step of the way, which you did so incredibly. And I don't know, maybe I went a little long on that, but
No, I
it
love
was really,
I
really
think,
powerful.
thank you.
Are you one of the millions who have completely been swept up by the pickleball craze? The type of paddle you play with is a really important choice that absolutely affects your game. Element 6 pickleball paddles are perfect for the beginner or seasoned pro. Element 6 has created premium pickleball paddles. Don't be like us and just buy the first paddle you come across. Start out with an edge in your game. Start out with a lightweight, stylish. Of course, you want your paddle to look good and be USAPA approved, just in case, you want to take it competitive or professional. Element 6 was founded by two brothers, and all of their products are manufactured right here in our own backyard in Tennessee. And with a wide range of options and free shipping and returns, there's nothing to lose. Right now, you can get yours. Go to stephandcraig.co, click on the Element 6 link, and enter Steph and Craig as a promo code to save you 10% on your order. And as a bonus, Element 6 is also going to send you a free gift with every order. Get yours today and we'll see you on the courts. Looking for the perfect gift for somebody you love? Try looking beyond material things and get them the most unique gift possible. An unforgettable custom song from Songfinch. Songfinch lets you create an original studio quality song inspired by your own life and the people that you love. It's completely unique, personal, and it lasts forever. Songfinch walks you through a simple 4-step process to create your original song. Just tell them who the song is for, provide them some personal details, and let them know the type of song you want. Then pick your favorite Songfinch artist or get matched with one, and they'll write it, record it, and produce your custom song in just 4 to 7 days. Go to stephandcraig.co, click on the Songfinch link, and enter promo code Steph and Craig for $20 off your custom song.
Hey, everybody, you know how we're always talking about healing together on the podcast? Well, today's episode is brought to you by a new company that's going to help you do exactly that. They're called OurRitual. Whether you're looking to grow individually or as a couple, OurRitual offers up personalized pathways designed by their research experts and therapists, all with the focus to help you unlock a deeper connection with yourself as well as your partner. You get full access to not just the therapist, but video exercises and other tools that are going to help you on your path. All of that for far less than regular therapy. So if you're looking for a flexible and affordable way to level up your relationship, check out OurRitual. Their website is ourritual.com. ourritual.com. Head over to ourritual.com right now and take their quiz. This is going to help you personalize the experience so that you get the care and help that you need the most. OurRitual offers an alternative to traditional therapy and makes it more affordable, more accessible, and a much more engaging process through their user-friendly platform. Right now, listeners of the podcast can save 20% on their first month. Simply use the code StephandCraig20 at checkout. Again, that's StephandCraig20 and save 20%. Their website, one more time, is ourritual.com. You and your relationship are worth it.
I think Chinese medicine and the body for me was one of the biggest things of healing as well. Just like you, I'd have so many aches and pains, and even recently I've had neck pain and left hip pain, and I'm going, these are related. I don't know how, but I know they are. And I went to a physio, I went to a sound healer, I went to an acupuncturist and a therapist and belief system change, and all of those, I got a different puzzle piece from each of them. And for me, in my healing journey, I would sit in a therapist office and my throat would close off because it didn't feel safe to speak. It didn't feel safe to express myself. It didn't feel safe to show my truth. And because of that, I even hid my own truth to myself. And walking through, I found yoga, I found especially YouTube yoga allowed me to cry at home. And I'd be going, I'm such a curious person. So I'd be like, why am I crying from doing pigeon pose? Why am I here bawling my eyes out, having this like chest rattling cry because of the body. And after that, I walked into the wrong acupuncture office. He changed my life with something called psychokinesiology, which we talked about in the last session. And then he offered me a job, and I was like, I'm meant to be here for something. And I learned all about Chinese medicine and a whole lot that goes into those meditations of going, this was the biggest part of my healing for me. Sitting with what happens to emotions that are unprocessed? Where do they go? What happens? And how come when I am having this conversation and I feel uncomfortable, I am getting this random stabbing pain in my body? And it kind of walked me through a similar exact thing to what you were saying, Steph, of going, this emotion's coming up and this is how it's getting physically shown to me. And I would have never found out about any of it unless I walked into the wrong acupuncture clinic. And so I made the meditations to share them with so many people. And I think I'm almost at 3,000 people now, which I love. My aim in the next 10 years is 1 million, which sounds far off and Atlantish, but I'm fingers crossed. I think it's such a powerful practice because we're so used to top-down healing, where it's talk therapy, where it's, let's just chat about it and see how it goes, instead of, and there the body is the lowest point of it, instead of bottom-up theory, which is talked about in The Body Keeps Score as well, of going, let's look at the body first. The body holds everything that you're going through, and there are so many interlinked parts within the body that we have no idea about, like what you were saying, Steph, of going, why is the emotion in my throat hurting my thigh? No book is ever going to tell you. It's all by you doing the self-work, which it's an amazing thing to do. So congratulations, I love it. And it's so magical, every single person's experience. I am obsessed with how quickly, when you change a belief or when you start looking at it, it can actually change. I remember I had taken a photo of someone that asked me to take a photo of them last time I was in Pai, where I'm going again in a couple of days, and they had Bell's palsy, so half their face was paralyzed. And then I took the photo, we had a chat for a minute, and then I went and sat back down, and I'm painting, there's a sunset, I'm with my friends, and I keep having this belief go through my head of, I am loved by my family, and I love my family. And I'm just like, you know how you hyper focus on someone and you can't see the world around you? And all I'm doing is trying to focus on my beautiful painting of the sunset, and I can't get my eye off this guy. And I'm just going, okay, I need to go speak to him again. I get up and I go, hey, sorry, this is probably a really strange thing, but can I also use acupressure points. So I go, can I just touch a few different places on your face, and can I get you to say this? Like, just let's act like this is, I can be the strange lady in your story. Like, I don't care. Let's just get this through. For some reason, I need to do it. By the end of our conversation, which was 5 minutes, he had full movement in his face again by changing that belief within him and using the body. And he hadn't been able to move half his face for 5 days. And within that going, oh my gosh, the body holds everything. And we're trying to treat our body with amazing things that really are quite helpful. And I don't want to be mean to them, but going, you can't just treat the body with the body by going to physio. There's always an emotional element to it. There's always something. We're not just the mind. We're not just the body. It's all together. And I think everyone started to look at it more that way. It's so much more empathetic to go, oh, my legs do hurt. Yeah, I have been on them a lot, and there is those physical impacts. It's not all emotional and it's not all physical, but I did have that conversation and I did feel really uncomfortable, and maybe that nerve pain that I'm feeling isn't so random after all. Yeah.
I love it. Annabel, do you have a belief that, because I feel like for me, there are some beliefs that I have that, I mean, they feel so subconscious, like they feel so in the shadows. They feel so kind of like, literally just like it feels like a part of me. Like it's a belief that I can't even separate from, right? I'm so enmeshed into this process or enmeshed into this belief that it's like, and then finally something happens and the smoke clears and I'm like, holy cow, I've been thinking this my whole life. Like this is nuts. Right. I had one recently. What was the one that I had recently? I think we even talked about it on the podcast.
Uh-oh.
Where it was this whole, I would scan my day.
Oh, yes.
And look for the things that I had done wrong and needed to fix. And so my entire life is this just process of me looking for the ways that I fuck up. And then I have to fix those ways. Otherwise, the people around me won't love me. Right. So it was just like this sudden awareness in this moment. And I don't even remember what, was like this sequence of events that led up to this. But I was just like, suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, that's how I've seen like myself my whole life. Like I've always looked through that lens of what did I fuck up? What did I mess up? How did I make a mistake? I messed up here. I messed up. How do I fix this now? Right. I have to fix and solve this problem from today in order to be loved tomorrow. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't ever want to look at my life that way again. Like it's so heavy in that moment. And so since then, I've been really doing the best that I can to practice looking for all the things that I did right. And so I'm not looking for anything that I'm doing wrong anymore. I'm just trying to do the best that I can to focus on seeing all the things that I've done right throughout the day. And it's going well. Like it's been a couple of days. I feel like maybe a week or something, because we literally just talked about this. I don't remember on which episode, but a recent episode. And it's a daily practice now of just trying to focus on the things that I've not just done right, but that I'm doing right, like on a daily basis. Today I did this, today I did this, today I did this, rather than, oh, I messed up on that. I didn't do this thing. I still didn't get that fucking thing done. I got to do that other thing. And if I don't do this, instead, all of those negative ways of looking at my day, I'm just doing the best that I can to not do it anymore. But my question is, that was so hidden to me. Like that was so, out of left field. And then suddenly it just clicked. Do you feel like all beliefs are like that? Or is that like a super hard one or something? Like, I feel like that one was buried really, really deep. And I had to eventually get down into the, because it's just this constant introspective work all the time of trying to unpack what's going on. But what do you think, Annabelle? Is it a core? I don't know. It felt like a core belief, kind of. Maybe that's how I would describe it.
I will answer your question in just 1 second, but do you think it's safe? Do you think you did a good job?
In regards to what? Like in regards to that thing, or?
Do you think you did did you think you did a good job today?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I did a good job today.
What does that mean?
It means that I was productive. I accomplished some things that I had set out to do. A lot of times what that means to me is if I'm kind to myself, like if I'm not hard on myself, because throughout my day, I will be like, well, you didn't get that done. And I'll be like, that's okay. It's not a big deal. You don't have to worry about it. And so like on the days when I don't have it, then I try to be really kind to myself. But today I kind of had it. I had some energy. I had some momentum. I was able to accomplish things. So I did good today. But I do feel like, go ahead.
What about a day when you're sick and you can't accomplish anything or be productive? Did you still do good that day?
Yeah. I mean, on those days, like it's harder for me on those days, obviously. Like those days are really hard and challenging for me to still look at it through the lens of I did good. I oftentimes can a few days later, or I can reflect back, a week or a month, or like we've been looking a lot lately. Like we talked about this the other day too, of this year's been really hard and really intense. And we were reflecting back on like January and the beginning of the year and the challenges that we were going through. And I can look back and be like, I did a good job looking back at that time period. But in those moments when it was happening, I mean, I was a fucking failure. I was doing everything wrong, right? There was no way for me to see that I was doing a good job in those moments. But looking back, I can be like, oh, I did a really good job navigating all of those things.
So if I'm hearing it correctly, doing a good job is I had a productive day.
Yeah.
Is that something that you want to keep? Or do you go, I can do a good job and be unproductive?
I think the thing that my throat's getting activated, Stephanie.
I have a blue rock. Would you like to hold it? You got this.
I think whether this is what you're getting at or not, but what it feels like is separating those two because right now they're kind of blended in regards to my self-worth, right? If I had a good day, meaning I did a good job, meaning I was productive and kind of accomplished things, then I'm worthy. And then if I don't, then I'm not worthy. And like I'm slowly learning that even on the shitty days, like even on my worst day, right? Like the worst of the worst days for Craig, I can think back on even those days and be like, yeah, I was still worthy of love then. I know it intellectually. I know it. And it's turning into like this belief inside of me, right? Because there's a part of me that definitely knows it. Like it's not even a belief. Like I know that I was worthy even on my worst day.
Yeah.
Even in my shittiest moments, the times when I was most ashamed of my behavior and, the lowest of the low, like all of those moments throughout my life that I can reflect back upon, and they kind of, those memories just suddenly flood your mind and flood your body. Even in all of those moments, I'm still worthy of love. But when those moments are happening and when I'm actually in those moments still, because like there's still really challenging times, right? Like there's always those moments where you feel like you're just super unlovable. And it's hard in those moments. So it's that gap for me is getting, because I talked earlier about like sometimes the gap being really short and I'm able to kind of recognize it. This one's a couple months. It's still a ways out there for me.
Do you feel unlovable when you're unproductive?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, I was thinking a lot about that. Go ahead.
Why?
I don't know if I have a direct answer on why I keep trying to articulate all of these things of like what it might be connected to, but I kind of almost don't even think like that stuff matters. I feel like that's just kind of like story. And then it's like, why do I believe that? I don't know. I think there might be some component of it where, like, if I really thought about it, I remember feeling unlovable as a child when I was like in trouble or something. I don't know. Now it's that awkward space too where I feel like I'm stretching. Sometimes when you start to try to process and you get into stuff and then you get a little lost, and now it's like, am I or creating nonsense? I don't know. Fucking help me, Annabel.
Well, what are the stories that were coming up? You're going, I'm unlovable because.
Well, when it comes to like productivity, like if I'm not providing, if I'm not producing, if I'm not, accomplishing, if I'm not being productive on any given day, then I'm not worthy of love, I guess, in the sense of I'm not offering anything.
Yeah.
to like, yes to Stephanie, yes to my family, yes to like that part of it too. But it kind of feels like a bigger part of contributing to society almost. Like I'm not offering anything to the world. Instead, I'm just taking from the world. And I don't know, I think like that's part of it.
I may be stretching myself, but what I am hearing, because I remember in the last podcast, there was the fear of the feminine. And I'm not sure how that's got resolved for the external, but I'm hearing a lot of, I need to be the giver instead of the taker. And there has to be both in life. There always has to, otherwise we're completely unbalanced. So with this, I'd look at, is it safe to embrace your femininity? And the femininity being sometimes being able to rest, being able to be still, being able to receive. And especially when you're sick, they're all the things that you need. How does that resonate?
Well, it's really uncomfortable. So that's a good sign. That part about being a giver instead of a taker. Like it feels like if I'm not a giver, like giving is how I stay alive. Like giving feels like survival. If I stop giving, the fuck good am I? Why would you keep me around almost, right? Like my worth and value is only if I'm giving and providing. I don't have any other than that.
Take a moment with that. That's heavy.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I can tell you that's completely untrue.
Right? That's another one that's just straight bullshit, right?
Straight bullshit. But so reasonable for you to have thought for so long. And even though we've got the missing piece, it's okay for you to keep believing that for a little while as well.
Yeah, what you said earlier about there's a part of me that doesn't feel safe to put that one down. Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Like with where I'm at and what I'm feeling and some of the stuff. I mean, the last few years of my life, Annabel, has just been deep inner child stuff, like little 2, 3, 4-year-old little Craig stuff. And this feels like a really, I got that message real early in life. And been trying to just stay alive and stay alive and stay alive by giving.
I don't think you need to keep surviving anymore. I think you need to start living. And by living, embracing all of you. Because if you're taught at such a young age your only value is giving, at a stage you have nothing left to give.
Yeah. I got to get a drink.
Get a drink. Get a drink.
Well, I'm incredibly grateful for you, Annabel, and I'm really, really grateful that we've been able to have you come back on the podcast again. Right. I think it needs to be a quarterly thing because you just put so many pieces together for us when you come on, and you help us so much in all of the different aspects of, because it was the same thing last time.
Right.
It was the same thing where we were just like, well, shit.
Whole life's changed.
It's beautiful.
Whole
like that
changed.
sounded terrible. I mean, obviously this is challenging stuff that we're navigating, right? I'm really raw right now. I can feel like all of this stuff inside of my chest, and like it's really hard to kind of be present in this moment and not just be like, peace out, dissociate. But truthfully, I'm really honestly grateful, Annabel.
I love coming on because I love how deep you both get. And also to answer the question before we went on that tangent as well, of so often we have that deep thing within us of there's this hidden belief that we need to change, or there's this hidden aspect that until it gets brought up, we have no idea about. And I think there's two thoughts about it. Number one, you can dive into just letting life show you what you need to. And that's going to bring up the challenges you need to, the beliefs that you need to, but I truly don't think you get the most out of everything unless you, for at least periods, kind of go hunting for those shadows and for those fears and for those limits. Because if you're forced to get to the limit and you're kind of pushing there for the first time, it's really difficult. But if you're going there by choice instead of getting forced to, you've got more time to actually push that limit. And that's why I love the Feel and Heal meditations, and I've got a new belief system course as well that will show you what's actually getting stored in my body and what am I ready to bring up. And that way you're able to dig into all the things that have come up, all the things that are hidden, but you're ready and you're safe to actually change. And that's, I think, what everyone really wants, of going, I only want to focus on one thing. When life throws me chaos, I sometimes get overwhelmed, and I don't want to get to that point. I want to be my best self. I want to go into the depths and vulnerability like you two do, and you make it look so effortless and so easy, and I love it. It's such a power that you hold, and such a huge vulnerability as well, watching it, of going, if I was in your chair, I'm not sure I would truly go to that depth that you both do. And I truly admire that you both do, and I think it's amazing. I love coming on here. Quarterly for sure.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Annabel.
Yeah. Yes.
Tell everybody how to find you.
So it's Smile with Annabel, at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all the fun things. And then I've always got that link in bio with all the new courses as well. So I always recommend starting with the Feel and Heal. Yeah.
I was going to say, we can also find your Feel and Heal meditations there as well.
Yes.
And what was the name of the new course you have out again? Say it for me one more time, please.
I think it's Change Your Beliefs. I really need to get better at titles. It's basically going into how to understand which emotion is holding you back, how to find the belief system around it, and then how to actually move through it. So it's kind of the next step after the Feel and Heal meditations, because so many people were like, this was great. I know the feeling somatically. And I was like, oh yeah, now let's change it mentally.
So awesome.
Yes. Thank you. As you can see, for everyone who's listening, you might have been able to connect to it, even though it was Annabel was walking myself and Craig through it. We're not unique in these beliefs. And there's a good chance that if you're relating to it as we were walking us through this process, that whoever's listening is also feeling that within themselves and being able to take that step. So encouraging to get more in tune with your body, and to definitely go check out Annabel's work, because oh my gosh, makes such a difference.
I freaking loved this episode.
Yes, so much. We just love you. And we're so excited for your trip coming up and your house.
Yeah, we're all going to Thailand. Let's
go. We're supporting you and sending you so much big love and excitement and encouragement, and hoping you find way too much fun out there and some deep peace and everything that your body is looking for and needs, that you find that with ease.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I am sure next time I'll get on and be like, all this has changed, and I'm excited to share it with you all and hear more about you guys as well. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you both very, very soon.
Thank you so much, Annabel. Expect the best.
Plan for the greatest.
We got a wild ride. Wait and see, you and me. We were meant to be.
We want to make something perfectly clear. This podcast is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as a substitute for professional advice. We're sharing with you our own personal experiences and insights, things we have found to be helpful on our healing journey. But we are not licensed therapists. If you need help, it's important to seek out a qualified professional. Remember, we believe that we all do better when we heal together. See you soon.